Here's the truth that you may not want to face. You are a loser, or at least some part of you believes that. But is that belief true, or is that your trauma talking? Psychologists say that trauma can distort your core identity, creating shame, false narratives, and emotional truths that aren't true at all. In this video, we're talking about what it really means to rebuild your identity after trauma and why your story is not over yet. I'm Josh. This is the Life Reset Collective. Let's get into it. When you go through something traumatic, whether it's abuse, betrayal, loss, or even long-term stress, it doesn't just hurt you emotionally. It starts to rewrite your internal story. It tells you who you are, but it lies. Trauma doesn't just create pain. It creates internal labels that we use to label ourselves in our subconscious mind. You start calling yourself names: broken, unworthy, guilty, lazy, a burden, hopeless. These aren't just thoughts. They become a part of your identity. And once you believe those labels, even if on a subconscious level, you start acting like they're true. Not because they are, but because you've never been shown another way. But here's the truth, friends. Identity is not permanent. It's not fixed. And it's not the property of your past. So how do you start rebuilding your identity? One that's true and stronger than before as you embark upon your life reset. That's exactly what I'm going to go over with you in this video. The Life Reset Collective exists to support individuals rebuilding their lives after loss, trauma, burnout, or major life transition. Through soul-deep encouragement, sacred wisdom, and practical tools, we walk with you as you begin again. With intention, self-compassion, and courage. We believe healing is non-linear, everyone deserves a second chance, and your story isn't over. It's just a new beginning. All right, friends, I'm going to get super real with you. I have a 5-step process that I have used that I have found to be incredibly beneficial when you're trying to recreate, rediscover your new identity after trauma. Because the truth is, as you embark on your life reset, you're not going to be the same person you were. And these steps are crucial for helping us to understand and to get in touch with that new identity. Step number 1, acknowledge the false labels that trauma gave you. Before you can rebuild, you need to recognize what isn't truly you. These are beliefs like I'm broken, I'm weak, I always mess things up, I'm a bad person, I don't deserve a second chance, I'm unworthy. There are probably some of these that you really believe about yourself. You might internalize them. You may not even realize that you're believing them and that you're allowing them to dictate your self-perception of your identity. I would encourage you to do a really thorough diagnostic of this. Go on a long walk alone with quiet, no music, no distractions, and just think through this and think about the top 3 negative labels that you live with and label yourself with, perhaps subconsciously. You might know them right away. It might take some real thought, but I want you to do this. And then I want you to really ask yourself, are these labels really true? And here's the truth. The truth is, they're probably true a tiny bit, or maybe even a moderate bit. But the truth is you probably believe they are way more true and defining than they actually are. And you're probably giving them way too much power. That's the truth of it. It is like a spectrum, and we have some negative things going on here. We all do. We're all human. None of us are perfect. But we think of them as being this big, and we think of them as just encapsulating everything we are. And this is not true. That's not our identity. Maybe it's a challenge we have. Maybe it's a struggle that we work with. Everyone has struggles, but that doesn't mean you have to let that define you. And this brings us to step 2. Reconnect with who you were before the pain, before the trauma, before the event that plunged you into collapse, okay? Trauma clouds your memory of self. You might want to revisit childhood dreams, creative hobbies, or values you once held. What made you feel alive before the world told you who you had to be? And then before you got knocked down in the face of that definition of yourself, that the world, that your relationship, that your job, that your situation tried to force upon you. Sometimes taking that step back in time, even watching some of the movies you used to watch as a kid before the bad stuff happened, maybe even listening to some of the music you used to listen to when you were a kid before the traumatic events began, before the chapter of your life began where all the trauma hit you. Like, if you can go back in time far enough to find happiness like that, that can be so powerful. But the past is not truly the key to fixing the present or the future. So this is going to take us to step 3. Define the identity you want to step into. And friend, this is where you take control of your identity and who you are and who you become in the future. This is not a step based on survival. This is a step based on intention. Ask, who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? In this chapter of my life, what kind of person do I want to develop and nurture myself into? What kind of person handles life with strength, compassion, and clarity the way that I want to handle it? And then how can I transform myself into that person? Friend, listen to me. You've been through something terrible. Every life reset is basically set into motion by some kind of collapse, some kind of calamity. You might have gone through divorce. You might have lost your home. You might have had an illness diagnosis. You might have lost a loved one. You might have lost your job. I myself have gone through 2 complete life resets. That's why I was inspired to make this channel. And let me tell you this, you will never find a more rapid evolution of self than when you're going through these calamitous events in your life. And I'm not saying that to say, oh, look at the silver lining, because no, it sucks. Telling you to look at the silver lining is not what the purpose of this is. However, reclaiming our sense of identity is totally within our power. Not only that, but we can even use this as a means, as a time, as an opportunity to forge ourselves into a version of ourselves that is even better, even more capable of getting through this reset, even more capable of dealing with the things we have to deal with. This is power in the palm of your hand, and never has there been a greater chance to change than in the midst of your life reset. And this is going to take us to step 4, actually. Align your daily actions to that identity. Now, this might sound a lot like do more work and make your life better. That's partly kind of true. That doesn't mean that's all there is to it. In fact, if you download our free ebook, The Life Reset Framework, you'll learn that there are actually 9 vital steps that must be undertaken to completely navigate a life reset. I put this book together based on my 2 life resets, both due to divorce. I basically had to start from scratch. And I realized that there are 9 steps. And there are a couple of those steps that involve taking action, making plans, basically taking our energy and moving upon the world with it. With that being said, there are also many steps that require other things like rest, renewal, anchoring into the sacred, right? So these are all different steps. So download that book. It's free, and it's my way of trying to help those who are also going through a life reset find some hope, clarity, and some common sense steps that maybe they can use to help identify what they can do to help themselves go through this terrible time. But I want to talk about this step number 4, align your daily actions with that identity. Identity is actually built through a sort of repetition of actions, thought patterns, and decisions about how we're going to spend our time, energy, and life. Even small actions like journaling, walking every day, speaking kindly to yourself, standing upright with your shoulders back, projecting an air of confidence, letting go of a lot of those negative feelings about other people and embracing more optimism, more empathy, more hope, right? These can all reshape how you see yourself. And the idea is begin to act in ways that your ideal future self would be proud of and that they would look back on and see, oh, wow, you are really doing a great job. No wonder we become this incredible human who's capable of such incredible things despite going through this terrible time, right? So that's the idea, is align your actions with that identity that you want to step into. And that's going to bring us to point number 5, step number 5. And I actually think that this might be the most crucial step of all of them. Surround yourself with identity reinforcing inputs. So this is so brutal. crucial. Podcasts, videos, the music you listen to, the books you read, the types of people you spend time with, even the types of movies or shows that you watch. And I'm telling you that this might sound extreme, but hear me out. All of these are going to play a huge role in shaping how you see yourself. I used to listen to a lot of hip hop, and there's a point to where this was good for me. For example, kind of the powerful, the savvy, the confident kind of beats and vibe going on. This is very good. However, there were also elements of hip hop I enjoyed listening to. Some artists who kind of denigrated other people, who dissed other people. There's a lot of this negativity in that music. And there were times when I had to say, okay, a little bit of hip hop, but that's enough. I can't have this negativity hitting me all the time, getting me in this mode where I'm thinking this way about people. And then the same is true of country music, but in a different way. Country music, there are a lot of elements of country music that are very nice, the nice life, the loving family, these kinds of values. But then there's a lot of this sad sappiness where it's like, I loved you and you went away, this kind of like almost like poor me type stuff. And I realized that this also was not good for my brain. I had to really limit how much of that I was listening to, because I noticed that the more I listened to it, the more I started subconsciously embracing some of these ideals. And this is even more true of the types of people you're around. You're going to be around people and their energy is going to affect you. And let me tell you something. If you were at the top of the mountain, really going along in life and having a great time, it may not be as big of a deal. But friend, when you are in this vulnerable time going through this life reset, your energy is so crucial. You need every bit of energy you can get from your life force to help you move forward in this incredibly difficult time. So allowing people around you who are going to waste that energy with negativity, make you anxious, make you doubt yourself, make you upset, whatever it is. Like, I'm not trying to say to just shy away from everyone who at all makes you feel negative, but only like be around the people-pleasing people. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say we want to put a filter on our energy, and we want to surround ourselves with only identity reinforcing inputs that help us as we're shaping this new identity. And friend, you're shaping this identity for you so that you can escape the traumatized state you're in and move into your new self, so that you can begin the next chapter of your life in power and in confidence and in hope, instead of that hopelessness and that hurt and that negativity you were in that you collapsed with, and now you're having to climb your way back up the mountain. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. Rebuilding your identity after trauma is possible, and it is crucial. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be many aspects of this that are incredibly difficult. But let me just say this. You deserve a new identity. You deserve to step into your future with hope, with self-forgiveness, without judgment on yourself, free of shame. Friend, we've all made mistakes in life. We could all point fingers at ourselves and each other and say, you should have known better. Part of this was your fault, blah, blah, blah. That's not what this channel is about. You already know all that stuff. What this channel is about is helping you start that difficult journey, complete that difficult journey, and shaping your identity after trauma is a crucial part of that. And friend, if you follow these steps, that's at least going to help you begin rebuilding. It's a very powerful frame of mind, a very powerful set of steps. And if you can begin to kind of reshape that identity and leave behind some of that self-judgment, leave behind some of that shame, leave behind some of that negativity and that hate and that confusion and that chaos, leave it in the past. You deserve better. Your best future is ahead of you. Do not let these hard times get you down. You can do it. You're going to make it up out of this pit and over that mountain to paradise, my friend, because the best is yet to come for you. I believe you deserve another chance. I believe I deserve another chance. Let's go get it. Let's make it the best yet. Thank you for coming back for another video. This is the Life Reset Collective. My name is Josh. I will see you awesome people on the next one.